Welcome to worship on this very special day. I'm Donna Welch, one of the pastors here at Laverne Church of the Brethren, and I am delighted that you have joined us for what I know will be a heartfelt, joy-filled celebration and blessing of the animals. Before I share more information about our service, though, I do want to remind you to check out our website, lavernecobb.org. Here you can find out more about who we are, what matters to us, and how to stay connected to each other. Rest assured, during these unprecedented times, we are separated physically, but not spiritually, emotionally, or intellectually. Let me direct your attention to two upcoming events on our website that require advanced action. Under the Connect tab, you will find virtual small groups. Here, you can register to attend the Christian Peacemakers team film screening of Hebron. It's a 30-minute documentary film that depicts Palestinian civilians attempting to exert their fundamental human rights, such as education, religion, movement, and dignity. Filmmaker Yosef Nacha grew up in Hebron and began documenting the struggles and resistance of his community at the age of 19. Mr. Nacha will be available following the screening on Monday, August 17th at 6:30 p.m. for a Q&A session. You do not want to miss this one evening only opportunity. And if you continue to scroll down on that same page, you'll find information about how to pre-register for the 6-week Spirituality and Social Justice series, Creating Space for Change, that begins in September. Creating Space for Change requires that we understand the dynamic intersection of spirituality and social justice, which can help us sustain this deep work of racial justice at a life-giving pace. I encourage you to check out this important resource and invite others to join you. And now a word about our worship today. We have called this service Bless the Animals, but it could have just as accurately been called Blessed by Animals. The service is not so much a blessing as it is a recognition and celebration of this very unique and precious relationship we share with our domestic animals, as well as those living in the wild. All life lives and moves and has its being in God. That includes our beloved animal friends, those resting in your arms right now or sitting at your feet, or swimming and squirming in tanks, those in wild, those you hold in your memories. Each animal, human and otherwise, is a glorious bit of God in our world and therefore a blessing in our midst. Today you will hear 3 stories from 3 different people, 2 spoken and 1 sung. These are stories of healing, essence, commitment, and they're shared as a means by which we can experience the sacred, because have no doubt about it, the image of God, who is love, can be found in animals, and you know that from the love, comfort, and companionship they offer you, the beauty and awe they inspire in you, and the lessons they teach all of us about life and the nature of God. So let's celebrate now our love of animals as we worship the God of creation and love.
All creatures of our God and King, lift up your voice and with us sing. Alleluia, alleluia. Thou burning sun with golden beam, thou silver moon with softer gleam. Oh, sing ye, alleluia, Let all things the Creator bless, and worship God in humbleness. Alleluia, alleluia. Praise our God and praise the Son, and praise the Spirit, three in one. Oh, sing ye, alleluia, alleluia.
Hi, I'm Wesley. And this is Sadie. And we'll be naming Job 12, 7 through 10. But ask the animals, and they will teach you. Or the birds in the sky, they will tell you. Speak to the earth, or it will teach you. Or let the fish teach you and inform you. What says all these do not know, but the hand of the Lord has done this. In God's hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all humankind.
Hi kids, I'm Jenny and I'm a zookeeper. So today's service is especially special for me. I love these verses in Job where it tells us to listen to the animals and to watch them and see what we can learn from them, because I do that every day at work. So today I thought I would bring one of the animals that I work with to meet you, and we'll see what we can learn from him. You guys ready? All right, here we go. He's a handful. This is Calypso, and Calypso is a kind of snake called a hog island boa. Hog Islands. This is a place near Honduras where these snakes live. And when I look at Calypso, there's a few things that I can learn from him. One, look at his beautiful pattern. You guys see all these colors and shapes that he has here? He's perfectly made so he can camouflage in his habitat, which is kind of a beach. So he's got some sandy colors, and it's got some forest too. So he's got some darker colors to camouflage with that. And so when I just kind of take a minute to just watch Calypso and marvel at his colors, I'm reminded that God has made every animal just the way they're supposed to be to fit into their habitat. And the same is true for you and me. We're made just the way we're supposed to be too. So when I'm having a rough day or I'm kind of struggling with something at work, I just look at these animals and I think, wow, they're amazing. Look at God's handiwork that he could come up with something like this through science to develop such a beautiful animal. Now, another thing that I learned from the reptiles is to just kind of slow down and to just appreciate life. They don't ask for much, really. These guys are quite content with what they have, and they don't worry about anything. They know that all their needs are going to be taken care of, and that's something we can learn from them too. To just kind of slow down, and even if we don't worry and we don't fuss over things, we're still going to have everything that we need. So that's another big lesson that I learned from these guys, especially snakes. They're kind of slow animals. They don't move very quickly most of the time, and it's a good reminder to me to just slow down. So I would have a challenge for you guys today, after we're done learning in this service all about different things we can learn from animals. I want you to go and see if you can find an animal to watch. They might watch you back like Calypso is here, but just take a minute and see if you can appreciate some new details about their body, maybe their ears or their feathers or their beautiful pattern, and see if you can appreciate something new about them and see what you might learn from them too. Thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you later. Bye.
I recently read a blog about the first time this writer heard the song "His Eye is on the Sparrow" as a child. He was deeply moved by it. Pondering that song in his heart for days later, he wondered, if God watched, knew, and cared about a little bird and its fate in this large, intimidating world, how wonderful, he thought, that God might be watching and caring for me. How wonderful indeed. In those moments when you feel small, invisible, or frightened, I invite you to imagine God caring for you just as tenderly as that little bird, holding you, delighting in you, nurturing you until your joy is restored. Rest in that image now as we enter into a spirit of prayer. Listen as Ryan sings, "His eye is on the sparrow," and feel God's message of comfort, and love for you. Amen.
Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? My constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. For His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. And I sing because I'm happy. Yes, I sing because I'm free. For His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me.
Good morning. My name is Emily Earhart, and I'd like to share with you the story of how my dog Otis came into my life. I grew up in households that mostly had cats as pets. I've always loved animals, but I don't think I've ever reflected on the healing power of animals until I began working on an urban farm in London after graduate school. At Vauxhall City Farm, we had horses, cows, goats, sheep, chickens, guinea pigs, ferrets. It was primarily an educational farm for teaching school kids about environmental education and food systems. Before my return to the States, I helped pilot a project at Vauxhall City Farm in which we partnered with the local pupil referral unit, which is where students who were kicked out of mainstream school went. A class of 6 to 9-year-olds would come to the farm once a week and help me with feeding and grooming of the small animals. After about 8 weeks of their visits, there were suddenly no more tantrums, no aggressive outbursts, and one mute boy even began to talk again. The transformations of those kids couldn't have been more incredible. Their teacher told me that in all of his years of working with troubled youth, he had never seen such a rapid change of behavior as he had seen in his students working with the animals at the farm. So where does Otis come in? Well, fast forward 2 years later, and I'm back in California working in food education when my health suddenly begins to decline. I was born with a complex heart defect that required multiple surgeries as a kid, and I was going to need more surgeries as an adult. So in 2015, I had open heart surgery to replace 2 valves, and due to some complications, I ended up having another open heart surgery at the beginning of 2017. The last surgery eliminated my hopes of having biological children. It was an extremely difficult period of recovery, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It was during this time that my mother-in-law and a good friend of mine both encouraged me to get a rescue dog. I'd never had a dog before, but I thought about the kids at the farm and I knew that I needed something to love and something to care for as I was healing. So I started following a bunch of rescue organizations on Instagram, and I visited a bunch of animal shelters. How am I going to know which one? Well, one day I saw in my Instagram feed a post by a San Pedro rescue organization who was fostering a poodle terrier mix that had been rescued off the streets of Compton by Hope for Paws. Some kids had found him in an abandoned lot, covered in ticks with long, dreaded fur. In his post-rescue photo, he looked like a scruffy old man, but he had these happy eyes that just sparkled under his bushy eyebrows. We arranged to meet him at a pet adoption event that weekend, and when we walked into the event, he was the only dog there that wasn't barking, just sitting, looking around at all the mayhem that surrounded him. I knelt down next to his cage, looked into his eyes, and I knew he's the one. At the start, as with most rescue dogs who come from the streets or have traumatic backgrounds, Otis had separation anxiety and was painfully submissive. The first few months that we had him, I was only 3 months post-op, so I was still taking naps every day and was slowly increasing my stamina for walks around the block. At that whole time, Otis never left my side. He spent every nap on the couch with me, and to this day, he doesn't get out of bed until I do. We've had Otis for 3 years now, and he is a confident, happy, intelligent dog who is loved by my entire family. He is also thoroughly spoiled. I don't think he could have a better life, and I don't think that we could have found a dog that was more perfect for us. I remember seeing a bumper sticker about a year ago with a paw print on it, and it read, "Who rescued who?" Well, as cliche as it sounds, I think about the kids from the farm, and I think about Otis coming into my life after my surgeries, and I know that it's true. We were all rescued.
My kitty sleeps on a pile of lace upon the corner chair. She went upon it late last night, now she won't come down from there. She used to sit in any patch of sun or climb up in the tree, but with her lace she's worse than that old Princess and the Pea. My kitty is the queen, my kitty is the queen. Oh, my cat sleeps on a pile of lace, my kitty is the queen. She came down from her pile of lace to have a bite to eat, but when she came to her old food bowl, she wouldn't touch her treat. Then she went to the chinaware and tapped upon the glass. Now she eats off china plates and dines like the upper class. My kitty is the queen, my kitty is the queen. Oh, my cat eats off china plates, my kitty is the queen. She idled by some bright red cloth we brought home from the store, and she wouldn't budge till we laid her down a path from door to door. From a cat who used to roll in dirt, this change is hard to take. We can only wonder what is next and hope the bank don't break. My kitty is the queen, my kitty is the queen. Red carpet stretch from door to door, my kitty is the queen. My cat eats off china plates, my kitty is the queen. My cat sleeps on a pile of lace, my kitty is the queen. God save the Queen.
I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Elizabeth.
and this is our 12-year-old rescue brown dog, or Brownie. We set intentions before we started the process of looking for a dog. There were things that we thought were important, like being financially stable, being prepared for the work of having a dog, feeding and training her and walking her. And we also wanted there to be a slow introduction because we lived with family at the time. We happened to fall for a beautiful but challenging dog. She'd been at the shelter for 6 years and was thought to be unadoptable. She needed our patience, care, attention, consistency, understanding, grace, and emotional strength. We visited her every week for about a month and then increased our visit frequency. We then had a house visit and got some overnights, and eventually in January she started living with us pretty much full-time, and the adoption went through in April. She also had to meet everyone we lived with and be okay with them. In this long process, we constantly had to remind ourselves and think through how this process of owning and caring for a dog with severe separation anxiety would change our life. Some days that conversation was harder than others. Because she kept choosing us, we kept choosing her.
We were lucky to have a wider family to stay with because at the time of early relationship building, they were involved, however hesitantly. She appreciated getting to lounge with the family and the success of tracking them when they had food. Because the relationship building process with Brown Dog is centered on proximity and food. Our first visit, we fed her chicken from our hands and otherwise ignored her. Eventually, we started making her quesadillas we would feed her in small triangles, one at a time. We would go on drives, or hold her leash on a walk, risk a dramatic growl and removing her leash, or spend the whole time talking to the volunteers as she ignored us. She did not like hesitancy or fear from us. We had to learn to approach her in confidence even after her posturing. One day, I made too many requests and lost some treats that fell through cracks in her outdoor space. She had had it, and I wasn't going to get to leave through the exits. A volunteer had to redirect her, but the next visit she wagged her tail at our arrival. Brown Dog's forgiveness process is like that. It gets heated and then forgotten. Now we hold her paw when we need to acknowledge that we are moving on from an incident on either side. She may snap unexpectedly, or I may accidentally bump her, and we stop to apologize, paw in hand. Her needs and boundaries change with the day, possibly as a consequence of her teeth having been worn away during her anxiety episodes. So we work to respect her shifting needs and provide new adventure and consistency to keep her in good spirits. Living with Brown Dog has been a journey of commitment to consistency and a commitment to grace.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from a nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles and I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together and we see it through. 'Cause you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Some of the folks might be a little smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you. As the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me.
Friends, beloved creatures of God, be you human, four-legged, feathered, or scaly, may you know the blessing of God's presence through the love and companionship of animals. And may you be a blessing for all God's creatures, at home and in the wild. Amen.